What's going on, everybody? Jack Acid with ApexHead.com, bringing you episode 4 of Zero to Hero from the F1 2012 Career Mode Series, and Team Hope for today is to finish 14th, starting off here on the back of the grid behind the HRTs, no less. And if you've been following the series, you know that in the first 3 races I have 3 podiums, including 2 wins, so obviously was hoping for a little bit more of a challenge than that, but we'll have to see how the season unfolds. It's very, very long. And to be honest with you, I don't know Bahrain that well. Now coming down into turn 1 and looking for some real estate and can't slow down in time and coming through the corner. And that error will undoubtedly be a penalty. There it is. The only question is how many penalties. It looks like it'll only be 1. Sometimes you can get multiple penalties depending on how much damage you did or how many cars you disrupted. So in this case, only a single drive-through. Now looking for some open lanes to get down into turn 4, coming in behind Charles Peak, and there's Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India car. He goes around on the outside of Peak, and we're up behind the Marussia, and cutting on the inside of the Marussia. Now wheel-to-wheel coming around this corner, and able to get in front of him, but almost getting tangled up with Charles Peak there. Now settling in behind Force India, and got some real estate coming around that corner, very close wheel-to-wheel coming out. And able to get up behind Michael Schumacher and the Mercedes. Want to be very, very careful coming around turn 10. One of the hardest corners in the game. A little too aggressive there. And now competing with Paul di Resta coming out of the exit. Wheel-to-wheel coming down the back straight. And finally able to get in front of him to get up into P15. That was pretty aggressive on my part and not advised. Turn 10, again, one of the corners that I rarely master, even after I've been going through a handful of laps. Just extremely difficult for me. But for now, we are up into P15, but of course getting the reminder that we have to go in to serve our penalty. Now, I could choose to build a gap before I did that. I don't have to serve that penalty right now, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. I don't really like to sit on penalties too long unless I have a very strong strategic reason to do that. And going too wide coming around the final corner. A little too hot there again. I don't know the track that well. But anyway, getting back to my point, I like to serve the penalties early on and just get them out of the way. Especially this early on. It's only the start of lap 2. So this will obviously put us down probably in last place. I'd be surprised. Yeah, definitely going to be in last place. So given that, we've lost a lap on the race. And now, of course, the gaps between all the cars have expanded as opposed to at the start of the race. So that's going to make things a little more interesting. Let's see what happens later on here in lap 2. Coming up behind the HRT cars and getting aggressive at turn 10 yet again. This time going way too wide, and Karthikeyan able to get around me easily. I don't have a good explanation. I'm not normally that aggressive at turn 10. I think I'm worried about hitting the AI, given how slow they are coming around there. So getting a little too aggressive. Now getting around the HRT, rolling up over the curb and losing grip for just a moment, but able to get settled into P22. Looking at the back of Timo Glock and going a little bit too far on the inside there. Fortunately not spinning off. And should have no problem getting around Glock here at the start of the long back straight, coming down into turns 14 and 15. Believe it or not, that last corner is 2 turns, as strange as that is. So Petrov able to overtake Charles Peak, who was ahead of him, coming down into turn 1, and we're both able to overtake Peak and gain a spot here. Still trying to chase down Petrov in the Caterham, and checking on the pace of the AI, the Caterham pretty fast in a straight line. Now coming down into turn 4 and having to slow down. And almost took off my front wing and incurred another penalty, having a little bit of problems coming out of the exit. And if it's not obvious by now, not very comfortable here at Bahrain, just don't know it that well. I do remember it from 2010, but this is only the second time I've actually raced on it, the first and only time being in my first season. And able to shoot in front of both Petrov and it looks like Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India car. And that's going to get us up into P18, chasing down di Resta coming through turn 10 and not going to go on the inside, and you can see what happens as a result, sliding off track. Had to avoid the back of him and obviously losing precious microseconds coming out of the exit, but able to catch up with him coming around just before the start of the long back straight, and much like Timo Glock earlier on, have pretty good pace in the straight line, have no problem getting around him. You may take note that I'm not actually looking at him this time coming down the straight after my gaffe back in China, so I've learned my lesson there. But it is still fun to watch him go by, I have to admit that. So here at the start of lap 4, up into P17, and you can see very good gap to cars up ahead. Have to think that that penalty, that drive-through penalty, is going to cost me big time in this race. Now skipping further ahead into lap 4, coming around turn 10 and chasing down our teammate Raikkonen, obviously having some kind of a major problem down in P16. Not sure what's happened to his race, but going to have to get around him here at some point. But want to be careful, of course, and going to let him go by here. I don't have that corner down as well as I should anyway. And honestly, trying to teach myself to be a little less aggressive going on the inside through those corners. There's really no reason for it. Should have no problem getting around Raikkonen as we're able to set a purple sector time for Sector 2. And let's see if we can get around our teammate here. Remember, we do have DRS enabled for the circuit, but not on this part of the track, surprisingly. Have to wait till we get around to the start-finish straight. Able to shoot around Kimi easily there. Coming around turns 14, now 15. And let's see if we have any chance to use DRS. Not looking good. Yes, we are. And setting a purple lap time here at the start of lap 5. So definitely gaining ground. Can see a couple cars up ahead and a pretty good train just coming around turn 1. And now getting told by the engineer to expect some light rain in 15 minutes. So that's surprising, as we're now wheel-to-wheel coming out of the exit here. And Schumacher almost taking me off as we came through that corner, but fortunately able to avoid getting entangled and getting a penalty there. I'm not sure who it would have been on. Let's see what happens coming around turn 4. And sticking on the outside, almost coming into the contact of Schumacher's rear left wheel, but now able to get in front of the German and up into P15, of course losing time thanks to that little encounter. Here at the start of lap 6, due to pit at the end of this lap, and you can see getting around Jean-Eric Verne easily. And now looking at the back of Henkki Kovalainen and the Caterham up in P12. Not sure what's going on in this race. Very, very strange running order right now. And we should be able to get around Kovalainen up at turn 4 as long as he doesn't pull in front of me. No, he does not. Able to slow down and come in behind Pastor Maldonado in the Williams car. Riding P11 at the moment. So now skipping ahead further in the lap, coming around turn 8. You can see that the gap to Maldonado is nothing at this point. And going to see if we can make a move coming through turn 10. And slowing down wheel to wheel, have just enough room to get through there, and a clean overtake through turn 10. As long as we can beat Maldonado out, he's finally following back now, but able to get up into P11, so that was a risky move, but paid off here. Now getting close to the end of the lap, and let's see if we can get around Felipe Massa before we go in for our pit stop. That would help a little bit, if anything. Able to get around Massa easy there. And now setting our sights on Daniel Ricciardo in the Toro Rosso, coming down into turn 14 and not going to be aggressive. Remember, we are going in for our pit stop, so don't want to do anything too stupid. And it looks like Ricciardo will stay out. Yes, he will. Pulling into the pit lane. And now Ricciardo pulling in front of me here. And now coming into the pit lane, locked wheel to wheel with Daniel Ricciardo. You can see our wheels touching now. And some kind of commotion behind us. It looks like a Caterham is coming to the back of our cars. I have no control. Okay, now pulling into our stop finally. And getting a double penalty for this. How did I get the penalty? Ricciardo cut in front of me at the last second. But getting a double penalty for the entire incident, this is a complete nightmare. And already bad enough that we've got the first penalty. Now coming in behind the safety car, and I'm not used to the safety car, that's for sure. I think I'm supposed to overtake it. Yes, I am supposed to overtake it. And now, making contact with the safety car, I didn't even feel it, but apparently I touched the safety car, and that's our race. Black flagged. Disqualified for making contact with the safety car coming out of the pit exit, and I have to admit I was caught off guard there. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to overtake the safety car, and just as I was being instructed on doing that, I guess I had come in too close and made inadvertent contact, so a major disappointment here at Bahrain. And you can see that it's had an impact on the standings, now behind 7 points in the driver's chase after 4 rounds. So maybe this will be a more competitive season than I thought. You can see the replay here, Ricciardo just absolutely taking advantage of me, and then a Caterham comes up behind. And again, I guess because technically Ricciardo had the nose over me, the infringement was on my shoulders, but obviously utterly disgusted. Hopefully now I can forget everything and look forward to Catalunya. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you for round 5 in Spain.